bong bunch. Is it my turn to do it? It is. Welcome to the fucking the Mambo number 9, the podcast, aka Write Off, episode number 9.
Is that why you said Mambo number 9?
Yes, yeah.
Because in my head I'm like
9/11,
this fool. Oh, dude, like the terrible thing
Like
that happened.
national tragedy that
Yeah,
was not in our
man.
country, but it's still a national tragedy.
I mean, you know, pretty sad.
Mm.
Alec Baldwin shot someone.
Yeah.
Pretty sad.
What's more?
Oh dear.
You know what?
What's the question?
What's more
We can cut it if you don't.
sinister?
Okay.
Alec Baldwin killing that person or 9/11?
9/11. Alec Baldwin did it by
Make
accident.
a case for why.
Accident. That man
You
is...
don't know that.
That man
Were you
is
there?
a broken soul. All the police reports are saying that. Maybe they're covering his ass. He's anti-gun. I don't...
9/11 could have been an accident.
Well, I mean, it was an inside job, Puck.
But
They
you-
don't happen by accident. What a
no,
bad way to open.
Dude, no
This
one's
is going
watching
to
this
scare people
podcast.
off. No one is
We
watching.
got 4 views in the last one, so at this point I'm like, yeah, fuck it, whatever.
You know who-
9/11 was an accident, guys.
Big claim.
Mm.
We got a few views the other week because I was rewatching old episodes.
And that's how we got our views.
Yes,
From you
it was
rewatching.
all made. Fucking been watching. There's a funny joke, a very funny joke. Now that we're talking about this, I was watching Aquitaine Hunger Force the other day.
Yeah.
And Master Shake puts up a really shitty video. And Master Shake, he's the milkshake
Oh, milkshake
character.
character.
And he's showing Frylock and he's like, look, it's got 27 views already. And that's only from this computer. Do the math. And that made me laugh a lot. And I had to pause it and listen to the joke again because I'm a child. But, you know, funny stuff.
Yeah, why were you watching that show?
When we were waiting for some people to show up so we could leave, like Bolly and Griff.
Yeah.
And I prefer just having something on in the background when they walk in, so it's not like I have to entertain. If it's that sort of environment, you know what I mean? Just makes it easier.
I guess.
Like,
yeah.
hey, come in. I'm just watching some TV. How nonchalant and coy. Those are not the right words to use in that regard.
Well, I mean, they're almost antonyms. If you're nonchalant,
nonchalant is like
Wait, hold
laid
on.
back.
yeah, and coy is like cheeky, yeah?
Yeah.
If you're being coy, you're like, well, maybe.
Well, all right. It seems nonchalant, but it's actually coy.
But it's coy. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, I agree.
Dude, speaking
Yeah,
of coy,
Alex Baldwin killed that person?
Alex Baldwin didn't do shit. All right, he's innocent. Alex Baldwin is fine. Man, imagine if he wasn't so good at things and he always failed. Would they call him Alec Bald?
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
Thanks.
What, has he ever been good, though?
I think so. In The Cat in the Hat, that's my defense. And in Team America, he was all right.
But in Team America, it's just puppets.
It's not him either. It's I think it's Trey Parker doing his
okay.
voice. What else has he been in? All right,
That's what I mean. Like, Alec Baldwin is one of those guys that's like, I feel like all he does now is advertise trading cryptocurrency online. So
God.
it's kind of like fucking...
He's the boss baby. Oh, he's the boss baby. There it is. And he's
you
also
seen that, though?
no. I seen a bit of 30 Rock. He's the main character in that.
Oh,
And
he is in that.
Did you ever watch that?
Nah.
It's funny, but it's like
In my head, I look at it and I go, it just seems like a swankier, cuntier version of SNL if it got a bunch of, like, production money.
that's fair. Well, the whole thing, it's kind of like it's like the writing room of SNL.
Yeah.
That's kind of what the show is about, and it's funnier than SNL.
Mm.
I don't know about you. SNL kind of shit. At least rando clips that I
Dude,
see
this
will
is the thing,
sometimes
though,
make
with,
me
like,
laugh.
SNL, and, like, you hear people talk about it, it's always, like, in an American circle. No one in this fucking country... If someone in this country is a fan of SNL, I have to question what the fuck is wrong with you.
Yeah, I'd like to interview that Persian. I'll just interview that Persian.
Persian.
Yeah, like
Sean Connery.
what makes someone from the United States of Australia go out of their way to watch SNL? That's crazy.
Like, honestly, though, because, like,
crazy.
it wouldn't have been accessible until fucking maybe 10 years ago.
It's still hard to find like full episodes. A lot of them are like you go on YouTube, you find a clip. I remember Eminem hosted one year when I liked him, and I really wanted to watch it. And it's like this video is blocked in your country. Sorry,
Yeah.
you're not American. You don't get it. It's bullshit.
So it's like SNL for us. It's just like I just see retarded shit like Elon Musk, which is fucking
So cringe. You remember FNL, Friday Night Live? when they had the games and shit for Big Brother, and then it became like its own show.
Did it become its own show?
Yeah, it was Friday Night Live for Big Brother, and then it became FNG, Friday Night Games, which is a much worse
Acronym?
Thank you.
FNG over FNL, you reckon?
FNG is a pretty gross. It doesn't look good.
FNG.
I know. You've just put it all together, Lachlan. You're a clever guy. The old thingo,
the old triple slur, hey?
the old triple slur,
The old beep, beep, beep.
beep, beep, beep. Like a car.
That's what I want to get. Is a beep button, so we can just.
Oh, that's cool. It would be cool to have a soundboard thing.
Yeah.
Right. I want to be like, and that's what she said. Boom.
No, that's too aggressive.
No.
That's too
Okay.
aggressive. I like the beep, and then maybe if we get some good quotes or drops, yeah.
Yeah.
But
What-
like,
Okay.
you want someone going, "That's what she said."
No, I said that's what she said, and then I clicked the button.
That says what?
Just noises. Oh no. Or like I can't whistle.
So like the real stereotypical like
Yes.
radio disc jockey
Yes,
bullshit.
the worst ones. Where'd you find this?
Some of those aren't bad.
Well, we
Where'd
have
you
to get
find
it
this?
first.
Yeah.
My dad's podcast thinger has one of those.
Really?
Yeah, and he's I'm not sure what sounds he put on them. I think one of them's like cheering at some old like AFL game,
Hmm.
and I don't. Well, he hasn't done it in a long time. I think
Yeah.
we've done more episodes than him now.
Suck it.
Die. No.
Die.
Yeah.
Dude, you said that last night to someone.
I did because it's just. I think it's kind of funny if someone says something like they're
you
making
just-
fun of me. It's just die. It's like I'm cursing them. Like it will happen, and I never mean it. I've never said die to someone and been in my head like yeah. This is the real one. Nah, it's never been.
Dude, I was just thinking like there's a moment, it might have been last episode or the one prior, where you go, man, I spilt iced tea and then I spilt Pepsi on my computer. And just then you had your beer like right there. And you had your hand doing these motions like this. I was like, this is going to end badly.
The thing is,
I'm looking out for you because that's a new laptop.
I appreciate it. Yeah,
And,
new
like,
laptop.
I can't help but feel anxious for you.
It was so stupid with the because I'll tell you how I spilled the iced tea. Incredibly stupid. I had the iced tea here, laptop here. Laptop screen goes black like it does, and I'm like, oh shit, I don't want it to do that. I better as quick as I can, as very quick, reach out and press the space bar, and I just punched the iced tea bottle. All the keys, they're so much louder and sticky on the old laptop. I tried that shit, did not help it.
Yeah, liquids and electronics, man, especially like a laptop, never close.
Not good. And then there was the Pepsi in my room, which I knocked. You'd think a Pepsi falls on the floor, it just whatever, but it hit a really sensitive spot, I guess, and just exploded. It was already open. It wasn't like a pressure
Wait,
release.
did it like split the can like out
I
of like
think-
another point and not the actual hole you drink
I
from?
think that's what happened. I think it hit a tiny bit at the bottom that split, or
Yeah, when
or
that
it
splits, it just like fucking
explodes.
It's like shotgun the beer, you know?
yeah, true. Or like I wasn't actually gonna do it.
Fucking hell, man.
Yeah, and imagine that. Look at all these electronics.
It's also like a non-alcoholic beer, you know? So I
That's
don't
true.
wanna
Maybe
skull
it wouldn't work. Non-alcoholic beer. It tastes good. I like
It's
it.
not bad, hey.
Yeah, it's real nice. Like
Gets
after
you through a sober year.
totally. Well done, by the way.
Oh, it's not over yet, mate.
Fuck.
It's almost 10 months, though.
That's pretty impressive.
10 months of sobriety.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, but it's like also just... I don't know.
Not everything is meaningless, so you know. Is that where you were going?
No, I mean, I guess you could. I mean, I don't actually have a way to articulate what I was thinking, so we'll go with that. It's all
Yeah, you know,
meaningless, so.
you can be nihilistic, but then you're just gonna be sadder than you actually are. So don't.
Yeah, but I wasn't gonna be. But you
No,
know,
no, that's me talking to the.
Yours
audience
was a
and me.
nihilistic summation of what I was gonna sort of get to, but whatever. But shit the bed, man. Well,
Shit the bed. Story time.
yeah.
Or you
Unless
say
there was
something.
anything interesting you consumed in me this week that you thought was worth mentioning.
Probably, yeah, a lot of Korean stuff. You know,
Oh, that's right,
like
yeah.
I'm a Koreaboo officially. That's a Korean weeaboo, trademarked. Squid Game, good. It's not as hyped as everyone said it was. The people talking about Squid Game talking about the same way they're talking about Parasite. Parasite deserved that. Squid Game is just a good show. Okay. Watch the Vengeance trilogy by fucking Park Chan-wook, I think his name is. All good. Old Boy, best movie of all time. Lock it in.
Yeah, you said that on one of the previous episodes.
Yeah.
I said, what was your favorite story? And I think you said Old Boy.
Yeah, and I will keep saying it, and
Yeah.
do not look it up. I think eventually you'll watch it. I like to think so.
You have to clarify the Korean version, not the American
Do
version.
not watch the fucking Spike Lee joint. It's Old Boy, a Spike Lee joint. That's terrifying. That's what he calls his movies.
Yeah, he should just stick to making very esoteric African American based films.
Yeah, they
pointing out the
would.
white man.
That's
his niche, bro.
It's
Stick
a
to
good
it.
niche, and I don't think I've seen a Spike Lee film, but I've seen clips of like I think he did Black Klansman, and just like the whole idea of that is really interesting to me. You know, whereas doing Old Boy, even he I think has written it off. I think it's now referred to as a Spike Lee film, whereas his other movies
The
are Spike
joints.
Lee joints, which is just it's of its time, and I don't think it can change that.
Yeah,
now.
no shit.
It's fucking good. What was the other one I watched? The Handmaiden was really good, but I'm not going to rewatch it. I'm not like weak stomached or whatever. A lot of it's very sexual, right? Which isn't like off-putting to me.
But it's like it was just like graphic to the point where you're like, it's not necessary, or
Not even that. It wasn't a story I was super okay, no. The story was interesting. The way it was told was interesting. The way it was shown was interesting. It just didn't grab me as much as the other ones had. Like visually, it was really nice. There wasn't.
what do you think the difference was?
There's no technical errors. I think the theming of it. It was about. It's a very lovey-dovey film.
Yeah, okay.
And it had a pretty happy ending. And I'll be honest, the three like vengeance ones he did, and they're all at the end of the day about why vengeance is bad, right? It does it really well. None of them have a nice ending. They are all they're some of the most bleak, miserable films.
So do you appreciate the sense of perhaps not realism, but a more like, things don't always end well approach to
Yeah, it's
to
almost
those
like
films.
there were moments where I'm like, fuck, something fucked up's gonna happen, and it didn't happen, and I was like, oh, okay, that's good. I'm happy for these people, but everything is working out so well for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's based on an old book, like a really old book. So I understand it. And the message behind the movie is really great. It's just like, I don't know, it's a good reflection on our current times when we're talking about like sex and porn and stuff. But I won't get into it because if people are going to watch it, it's good going in blind.
Yeah.
There's not much else to say about it. And New World, another movie I watched, different director, had a few actors from Squid Game and Old Boy and Lady Vengeance. It was fine. It's it's kind of like, it felt like a Korean version of a Godfather, and it just didn't have the style that I was looking for. Whereas The Handmaiden was fucking stylish. And all these movies, as fucking bleak as they are, they have very laugh out loud moments. The tone is so well managed. Like, did you ever you saw Parasite? Yeah.
Nah.
No. Okay, I won't. That's another one. I
actually fucking don't watch a lot of movies.
no, that's fair. Me neither.
But like hearing you talk about it this week in particular, because you've like been on like a tear, like a movie a day sort of thing. I'm like, yeah, it's you get in those modes where it's like, oh, I'm really into movies.
Yeah.
Right now. And you know what it is as well. Like I love going to the actual cinema and like sitting down. Like that was how I used to see the majority of my films. Like I'm just all about that experience, I feel.
It's a good experience. It's
Yeah.
one I do miss.
So hopefully it's
Overpriced,
back
but-
soon. But it's also like one of the most super spreader situations for COVID is apparently
Yeah,
movie
yeah.
theater. So
People are going to be like lining up. What is it? Deluxe class theaters or whatever, master class, where you have like a full couch to yourself. I've got that gold class.
yeah, true. So I think
That's
outdoor theaters are open, which is cool.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But did you hear about the new James Bond film?
Is it? No, I didn't.
So
Go.
this is what I heard. Apparently, so I think it got released really recently. I think this month or the month prior, but it was initially meant to drop in April of last year.
Wow.
And so apparently the movie, its main sort of like driving storyline, like James Bond has to apparently stop some man-made virus from turning the population into some negative effect. I'm not too sure, but they obviously were like, okay, COVID hits sort of early 2020, and they're like, yeah, let this thing blow over, and then we'll on the back of it get some good press because it's like, hey, this virus thing that just happened, we got a movie about it.
Oh my god.
But then it got worse and worse and worse.
That's fucking
and
hilarious.
Now
They just snuck it out.
They've been sitting on it for so long that it's like, fuck it, and they're just throwing it out.
I didn't know it had released. I feel like maybe it got to the point where they just have to like, well, let's just slide it out. Things are looking
Like,
okay.
it's been long enough now.
Yeah. Is it still Daniel Craig?
Yeah, I think
Yeah?
this is apparently his last one.
That's okay. That's what I've heard. Who do you want to be the next James Bond?
Dude, I'll be honest. I've never seen a James Bond film, so I have no
fair.
horse in this race.
The only ones I've seen, I
Yeah.
think I saw some of the Daniel Craig ones, and I did not like them. I saw one of the older, like Dr. No. I think that was fun. Like it's
Is
just
that Sean Connery? That's what I want to see. If I'm gonna go watch Bond films, I want to watch the old Sean
Yeah,
Connery
I
ones.
think Doctor No was Sean Connery. I wish we had a fan base because I would love to see a comment of someone yelling at me telling me I'm wrong. But yeah. So what have you watched or been reading anything recently?
I've just been reading. I'm just trying to think what the fuck I said last time I was on this podcast. I finished the 3 books that are currently out for the Gentleman Bastard series, which is phenomenal. It was like the series I think I mentioned. It's like The Godfather meets fantasy kind of Venice. It's like super compelling, super well written. 4th book's dropping next year, which I'm really keen for. Like it's probably the most well-rounded series I've read this year, just because the characters are so strong. And when you have strong characters, everything else, it doesn't have to be so, fantastical or engaging or perfect. I think like the main characters are just done so well.
It lets them get away with a bit more things where you can be like, oh, I don't know about that, but I'm sure you still love it.
Yeah,
type thing.
And it's interesting. It's a very interesting dynamic as well because it's like it's 2 guys who have pretty much grown up together. They're not brothers, but they essentially are. And it's just the most well portrayed dynamic of that kind of relationship I've seen probably ever. I think when you think of like dynamic duos of there's a term, bromance.
Yeah.
Of like bromances. Like there's actual growth and friction in their like relationship that travels across all 3 books, and it's just it's a great read. It's a great read. So I finished that, and then I started a series called The Dresden Files, which is apparently meant to be good by book 12. But
yeah, I remember you telling me that.
17 books, but like the first 2 books, they're all right. It's quite an old series, starting in like 2000, but it's like Chicago, a wizard private investigator. It's not my usual setting, like urban fantasy, but it's not bad. It's not bad.
Oh, cool. That sounds similar to that concept. Did you ever watch Bright? The Will Smith.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah.
So bad.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Okay, that's all we need to say on that one. Speaking of bad films, we got in an argument last night. I'm not sure if you were there when this happened. Sam and Will both love The Great Gatsby.
I've never seen it.
Don't. Just don't. It sucks. It's one of Ethan's favorite movies as well. And I remember after
I can
watching
see why
it,
it would be one of his.
after watching it, I think it was 17 or 18, and I saw him like, Ethan, I watched The Great Gatsby. Fuck you. It is a bad movie. I'm sure the book's good. I'm sure the first movie, like the OG, is good. This movie sucks.
Yeah,
it is.
I know someone who worked on that movie actually.
Do you?
Yeah, but in the accounting department.
Nice.
Engaging.
No, I'm not like a monster. I don't want these people to fail. It's got good actors in it. It's got good performances in it. It's just as a whole, it sucks.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. I've been talking a bit too much.
Yeah. Well, shall we just jump into our story?
We shall, but I think I'll restart the timer just to give us a bit of levity there.
Cool.
Do you want to start the camera again? Is it gone? Nice. It's going to look cool when I edit the claps together if I do, because there'll be a clap up there and a clap down there. Like magic.
And it's just like, I'm just getting lazy by the fucking podcast, bro. Don't have to sit down and be all nice. Cool. Okay, so...
I'll be a bit nice. You've been doing a good job at being nice. So.
Yeah, well, fuck you, man. It's all over. Okay, so my story for episode 9, aka this one right fucking now.
Mambo number 9.
Is my character was a shiny wizard. Setting is Chocolate Factory. And we both had the same prompt, which was a prison break-in to break out someone. And I spun the wheel and there was no lesson learnt, was the added thing.
Did I spin the wheel last week?
Yeah.
Do you know what I got?
You got teen drama. Did you forget about it?
I'm going to make my next story a teen drama. I'm a fucking idiot. I knew there was something wrong.
Hey, look, if it's any consolation, no one's watching. So this is just me and you. So I'm judging you, but everyone else...
And
someone else.
It's fine. I'm okay with no one watching this because I'm having fun.
Yeah,
this is for us at the end of the day. Dude, nice.
Okay.
Confetti. Get away from me.
So I actually haven't really refined this story, but I think it's all right.
Dude, we're both going to have some fun ones in that case because mine, I finished at like 2 a.m. last night, I think.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, I just had a quick read over and I'm like, yep.
So you just hammered and you're like, that looks good to me.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know if the ending's too hot. We'll see how we go.
Dude, my ending it's debatable.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to shut up.
Okay.
Let's go.
So, the night was cold and dark as I perched myself on the ledge of the roof of an old brick apartment block. A chill breeze swept across the rooftop, sending the loose folds of my long robe fluttering. It was exactly what I'd been waiting for. Feeling the breeze, focusing on its most pure essence, I let myself fall over the side of the building. Magic is a complex art. Catching the wind and controlling it with your physical body to perform something that I suppose could be considered close to flying was incredibly difficult. It had taken me 4 nights. 4 nights of waiting on that rooftop for the right breeze to come along to bend to my will. After all, I didn't want to just float anywhere. No, I had a very specific goal. My name is Grayson Goodrich, and I am a wizard. If there's one thing to know about my kind, it's that the pursuit of knowledge, of any sort, is the most paramount goal at all times. That, and we tend to keep ourselves away from the prying eyes of the non-magical. As I drifted across the night sky, there was a hint of nervousness growing in my chest. The starlight from overhead and the street light radiating beneath me were concocting the perfect glaze of light to reflect my form. You see, it has been decades since I was last able to walk in the sun. I was cursed as a young man by someone who I once considered a friend and mentor. And since that day I was cursed, my body and everything I wear becomes, for a lack of a better word, polished, seemingly by the gentleman who lacquers the lanes of a bowling alley. In the light I shine like a lighthouse beacon. I looked down at my toes and could see the streaks of light rush across my body, blurring as I picked up speed and moved across the night sky. I had to get out of the residual light. I could see my destination, a large industrial complex with high metal walls outlining its perimeter, and by the look of its only fraction of the daytime work happening across its block. Only a fraction of the daytime work happening across its block. The Cadbury Chocolate Factory. I did mention that a wizard's greatest goal is the pursuit of knowledge. Well, my pursuits have led me here, and for good reason I might add. I've done a considerable amount of research on the creatures of Australian folklore in my time. Magical creatures. A lot of these creatures are indeed out there, but over the centuries their population sizes have greatly diminished, and their sightings even more so. I had uncovered an interesting piece of information regarding the creation of the Yowie chocolate, the treats that are enjoyed in this country. That apparently whoever had proposed the idea inside the Cadbury Corporation had somehow seen or captured a Yowie in order to get its likeness for the chocolate's production. How I uncovered this piece of information? Well, that's a story for another day. I landed on the roof of the central building in the compound, delicately, shifting the wind around my feet to fall with the grace and subtlety of a feather. I reached beneath my robe and produced a small corked vial which hung from a chain around my neck, downing its contents with a gulp. I tapped the energy of the potion as it began to course through my body. Even though I'd used sight potions on many occasions before, the intense pounding headache from the shifting of the components of my eyes disoriented me as much as it had the first time. My eyes settled and the surrounding rooftop, lit faintly by starlight, and my shiny form burst to life as if lit by the rays of a midday sun. I took a minute to regain my composure before scanning the rooftop for the access door. I eyed the door through the darkness, perhaps 20 meters from where I stood, and made my way quietly across the rooftop. I tried the handle, locked of course, a minor inconvenience for a practicing wizard. I entered the upper level of the building and quietly shut the door behind me. The staircase descended down into darkness, only visible behind the blaze of my distorted eyesight. I took a moment to recall the layout of building CA32, in which I stood. I'd seen them in the blueprints I acquired from a very helpful and not quite himself member of the local council's planning and permits department. I knew the blueprints were most likely not exactly accurate, but I had figured heading down to the factory's production floor, I'd be able to find something that might lead me to the rumoured Yowie, if such a thing existed. I cautiously made my way down staircases, through the dimly lit corridors and past the many offices and spaces used in the upper levels. There didn't appear to be anyone monitoring the halls at this time of evening, and I thanked my lucky stars as I landed on the production floor without hearing so much as a muffled conversation or the whistling of a jaded security guard. To my enhanced ears, the production floor looked like a moment frozen in time. It felt odd staring at the machinery and ingredients all left as they were at the end of a day's shift, only to be picked up again tomorrow. Somehow the absence of people made my heart race a little more. Startling myself, I quickly spun and glanced around the room in all directions. That's when I spotted it. A dense-looking security door on the far side of the room. Remembering the blueprints, there shouldn't have been anything beyond that particular wall. Certainly not another section of the building. I made my way around the machines that formed the assembly line, past the long and high shelves storing ingredients en masse, and stood before the door. I forced another burst of will around the doorframe, shattering its hold. At least that's how us magically inclined individuals see it. Swinging the door open, I stumbled into a space of pure light, blinding me immediately. I felt my eyes burn and shrivel within their sockets. The potion had increased their sensitivity to extreme levels. A well-lit room was all it took to cook them where I stood. I cursed out loud as I fell to the floor. Running my hands over my eyes, I muttered incantation after incantation, trying to coax the potion out of the irises themselves. It hurt like hell, like dragging 100 tiny pins through and out my eyes, with each tiny movement grating my perception like nails on a chalkboard. I managed to drag the last drops out and collapsed in exhaustion. My vision began to stabilize, and I saw the streaks of blood that ran down my fingers. Wiping under my eyes, I swept more of the warm red liquid across my cheeks. I again suddenly became aware of the room and sat up in a startle. Each movement of my body sent small patches of light dancing across the surfaces in the room. This was why I avoided the large sources of light. I became a veritable human disco ball. The room was lined with sturdy metal cages of different shapes and sizes, stacked precariously on one another like a toddler's attempt at building with Legos. I noticed movement in the cages and got to my feet slowly, fighting through the thumping in my skull. "Hello? Who's there?" I muttered through my exhaustion. In a flash, 2 large, monstrous-looking hands gripped one of the larger cages. "Who are you, human? What are you doing here?" The thing grunted in a rough voice. I got closer to the cage and inspected the thing, my eyes slowly regaining their depth of focus. The creature matched every description I'd heard of the Yowies before. An ape-like creature, with a wide, flat nose stuck in the middle of a rose-coloured skin of its face. Its body covered with the thick grey and brown fur, dirty and matted, as if left unattended to for quite some time. "You're a Yowie, aren't you?" I can't believe the rumours were true. Well, actually that isn't true. I can believe them. Corporations tend to do twisted things to magical creatures. "If you know what I am, why are you here? To take me prisoner for your own means, I imagine." I shook my head furiously at the Yowie. No. Do not misunderstand me, Yowie. I've come to help you escape from here, if it is what you want. I only wish to learn more about your kind and promise your freedom if you agree to answer my questions. The creature looked at me for a moment and seemed to last minutes when in reality was more like only seconds. "Well, human, if what you say is true, I agree to come with you. I do not know where my holders keep the keys to my cage. How do you intend to free me from here?" There was a faint echo of a man's voice drifting into the room. Someone was out there, on the production floor. Shit. "It seems we have company, my dear Yowie." The Yowie looked at me curiously, unsure to make of what I said, perhaps. "What do you mean? Can you hear something?" "Shh. You mean you can't hear it?" The man's voice. The creature shook its head. I knew what that meant. "I see. Wait a moment, my good Yowie. I shall be right back." I left the Yowie, his prison, the chocolate factory, and that entire world behind. I opened my eyes in the small room in which I sat, my arms constricted against my chest in their white bodysuit, the padded floor and the walls around me an infuriating sight. A constant reminder of the real prison in which I sat. The man's voice was clear now, coming through a small slit in the only door that stood directly in front of me. "Grayson, can you hear me? I said it's time for your medication." I nodded and gazed into the bastard's eyes. One of these days, when I had the Yowie's help, I would break free from this stupid prison and stick that man's head on a pike. "Good. You know what to do. Stand against the back wall and we'll open the door." I did what I was told. No sense in doing anything reckless this time around. I'd take my crazy pills like a good boy, wait for the tranquilizing effects to wear off, and head back into my reality. I'd break the Yowie out of his prison, assemble my monsters, and kill every arsehole in this so-called mental rehabilitation center. The end.
Okay, so your wheel prompt was no lesson learned, correct? Yeah, well done. The infuriating sight of the hospital ward was infuriating. What a twist. My good Yowie, brilliant writing. And CA32, I wrote that down. Is that anything?
No, it's imaginary.
Okay, because when it was like the mental hospital, like, oh, I wonder if that's like a code for like a mental patient, perhaps. Maybe it is. It could be. Yeah. Fun story. I like the direction you took with the Yowie and it being a chocolate factory, because if it was me, I would have thought Willy Wonka and just done that. Like, because that's how my brain works.
That was my first thought as well. Yeah? But then I was like...
Good on you for pushing past that.
Because I was going to do it like how I did the Seinfeld one and do a script and make it like just really like not PC and racist as fuck about the Oompa Loompas or something. But then I was like, I just ran out of time because I was doing other stuff this week.
Nah, fair enough. Yeah, like I enjoyed it for what it was. You know,
Nice.
good stuff. Yowies are a cool concept.
It actually
As, like,
are. They're a
real
cool like
things.
folklore thing that I forget that we actually have in this country.
Yeah, Australian folklore is pretty cool and like Aboriginal sort of stuff. Is Yowie, is that based on any sort of Aboriginal thing?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yowies, you could make a cool monster out of them from what was it? Didgeridoos and dragons?
Oh, dingoes and
dingoes and
didgeridoos.
didgeridoos, my bad.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea. I actually might get a Yowie after this. I haven't had one since I was a kid. I don't think.
Wow, they
they
came
came
back
back.
recently.
They're back.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
you can get them. I see them at the reject shop a lot. That's like
Yeah.
their home base.
Yeah.
And they're ugly cunts on the packet. Like, I don't. Is that accurate? I haven't seen
I
one in
haven't
a
seen
while.
one for ages.
Yeah.
I feel like there's different types, and maybe they have different facial expressions. So maybe one of them is like that.
Your description of Yowies, is that based on the chocolate or is that based on
Based on
like?
the folklore.
Okay, then,
kind of.
because you were sort of describing it, and I was picturing like a big possum. I
They're
don't
kind
know.
of like they're
But with a flatter face.
they're kind of like yetis in a way.
Yeah, I guess
you
they
know what I
sound
mean?
like Yeti. Just like someone misheard Yeti. It's like, oh yeah, they're Yowie. That sounds so bogan. Yowie.
Yeah, but you say
Yowie.
that's bogan.
Because it's Aboriginal and it becomes bogan because we take it.
Yeah, like wagga wagga.
Yeah, Murrumbina.
Yeah, all that shit.
It's all
All the
Aboriginal words. Yeah.
that, like get that Australian
Co-opted
inflection.
and bastardized.
Yeah,
like
literally.
it's pretty funny, but you know, sad overall.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it is what it is.
But yeah, that's story number 9.
Story number 9. We'd love to hear it. We'd love to read it.
Thanks,
Shall I get to my story number 9?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I had I'll just make sure my computer's still recording. I'm paranoid. New computer. It's got all these wires because it doesn't have a USB cable.
What?
It only has USB-C ones, like
What
these
are
little
you
ones.
talking about all the wires?
Because, like, look, I have to put the box out here to have that plugged in, so it's like
Ah.
another port of fuckery.
Yeah, right.
Powerful student of magic, pirate ship breaking into a prison to break someone out.
And it was meant to be a teen drama.
Yeah.
But
So
it's not.
picture a bunch of super attractive 30-year-olds, but they're actually all 16,
Yeah.
and doesn't make this.
And the pirate ship's a high school.
Yeah, pirate. I'm gonna read. I can't think of funny.
It should have been a
things to
high
say.
school pirate ship, and it's like you're in detention now, and you know. Well, it's a teen drama.
Yeah, I know, but like I expected something a bit better than you're in detention now. You're in the brig
Why would you have
now.
any
Go to the
expectations?
brig, bro.
You go into detention brig.
Yeah, okay. My bad about the teen drama mishap. Let's see if this is still enjoyable. As more waves crash against our boat, I still cannot shake my fears of this mission. On the surface, it seems we have all the right pieces in place. However, the team itself, I still did not fully believe in. Our captain, Ronald Thickington, had a real energy to him that can bring a crew like this together, but his stories of ghosts inspire more doubt than camaraderie, although I can't imagine any of the mollusks here having the balls to tell him that. Maybe that's because his war stories are that much more believable. I respect him despite the ramblings, but it seems like the people who signed up for this don't see it that way. Feels like a real skeleton crew, and so far, I'm not sure what bone I am. Maybe one of the feet. I definitely have more to offer here than some of the guys, but, you know, these lost souls seemingly at the end of their rope with nothing left to give or prove, just looking for a bit of coin. All except for Sahir. He carries himself a bit differently than the rest of the men here. Like he wasn't just in for the payout, but for the mission itself. Really inspiring. And on top of that, he actually believes in the captain's ghost story. Whether he's just humoring him or he truly meant it, doesn't matter. Maybe he's met a few ghosts himself. What really matters... A huge wave crashed into the boat, rocking it viciously and knocking Perry's journal out of his hand and over the edge. He ran to portside, desperately eyeing for it. After a minute, he turned back, knowing it was gone. Tried convincing himself it was for the best. Without a journal to distract him, he could focus more on the job than his writing. He grabbed a towel, started to dry himself up, and he felt a tap on his shoulder. Be more careful next time, Ryder. Sahir was standing there, holding his journal. Perry was shocked. He swore he saw it go overboard, but considering it was back in his hands, he didn't really care. Yeah, definitely. Thank you. As Perry was about to open it up, Sahir put his hand back on the book, stopping him. Captain's awake. Best save the writing for after we're done today. Think you can handle that? Perry nodded and put the journal back in his pocket. The energy Sahir carried with him was really inspiring. And on top of that, he had saved his book. The writing could wait until afterwards. "Attention, men!" What was his voice? My bad. I would have no son. "Attention, men! These waves don't lie. We've made it to the Kmusho waters. Soon enough, the Lakat will have us in our sights. Will have us in their sights. This prison is no chocolate factory, and one false move will lead to us all being locked up. So stick to your fucking scripts." Although Perry had just dried off, just hearing the name of the ship gave him chills. He'd heard horror stories of the guards and the inmates housed there. There was no proper jurisdiction in the Kmusho. So this prison operated with its own rules. Tortured prisoners, some of which certainly deserved to be locked up in a real cell, and others who had just been unlucky enough to wind up on the Lakat's bad side, which included Thickington's son, the man they were here to retrieve. The guards here were nothing more than pirates with a superiority complex. How and why they are still able to operate, no one really knows the answer to. Some say the ships they approach have to pay a fee to avoid imprisonment. Others say a government body pays them to keep certain prisoners incarcerated. Or maybe a certain prisoner. Maybe just one. He'd heard stories of a particular inmate. But now wasn't the time to think of that. What mattered was saving Thickington's son. Seeing past the thick clouds and crashing waves, it was clear a monstrous ship was approaching. It was go time. While one of the more competent crew members posed as the captain, Thickington, Perry, and Sahir had managed to sneak aboard the ship. It was clear Thickington wanted Sahir to accompany him, but why he chose Perry as the third member was not as overt. Either way, Perry knew he had to prove himself. While Thickington held back, the other two moved forward around the corner, ensuring a clear path forward. It seemed the pressure he'd put on himself had already led to cracks in his performance, as his book fell out of his pocket, letting out a loud echo in the ship corridor. 3 guards appeared almost out of nowhere, weapons raised high. "Escaped prisoners!" They opened fire as Perry closed his eyes, accepting his death, heart pumping faster than ever before. Through his closed eyes, he saw a bright light. Terrified, he kept his eyes closed, heart still pumping insanely fast. Still pumping. Still pumping? It's slowing down now. Perry opened his eyes and saw the guards laying on the ground unconscious, or maybe dead. At his feet, there were about 30 spent bullets. They should have hit him. Why hadn't they hit him? He hadn't noticed Sahir standing behind the bodies. He stepped over them, picking up the book again, returning it to Perry. What the fuck happened? They shot me. "I guess you're lucky. Now keep this thing safe, Ryder." Perry took the book back, utterly confused at the situation, while Sahir was acting like everything was normal. Did he knock out the guards and stop the bullets? That didn't make any sense. None of this did. Maybe Thickington's ghost stories weren't as far-fetched as they seemed. Speaking of Thickington, the captain had caught up to them, not noticing the flawed bullets, but very happy with the guards being taken care of. He grabbed one of the guards' bandanas and gave it a good sniff, and with a big old grin looked back at the other two. "Disguises!" The plan so far had been going way better than expected, as the team made their way through the corridors with their new disguises, Sahir leading them towards their mark. He tried forgetting, but Perry was still shaken by what had happened. Thickington didn't see it, maybe he imagined it, or maybe the guns didn't have strong enough gunpowder in them. But none of that really made any sense. Sahir must have done something to stop them. He had saved him, but everything surrounding it felt off. He should have been grateful, but he was just scared. And as long as he was scared, he'd give away that they didn't belong on the ship. Thickington pulled him aside. "Boy, what the hell is wrong with you? Sahir told me you were the bravest of the bunch. Fucking act like it and pull your act together before we're exposed." That really pulled his head in. He was shocked Sahir had recommended him. They'd barely talked before today, but now knowing how much he had backed him, his fear was replaced with a vigor, a newfound energy. Thickington's son had the best team on the job. As Perry began to blend in a bit easier, the cracks in Thickington began showing. They'd been on the ship for a while now. "I thought you knew this ship, Sahir. This has taken too bloody long." "It's changed a bit since I was last here. We're getting close, I assure you." "Bollocks! I have a new plan." Thickington saw another 2 guards and began walking to them. Sahir looked panicked as he approached him, and the 2 guards looked at each other. "Perry, you're a good man. Can you do me a favor? See those numbers on the wall by the guards? Go write that in your journal. It might be important." Of course. What a strange request, but Sahir knew more about this place than we did. Maybe the numbers would help us find Marty. "My good men, I'm looking for a particular cell. Marty Thickington. That ring any bells?" The 2 guards looked at each other, puzzled. Perry was at the numbers and opened his journal. For half a second, he saw a page he hadn't filled in that had a strange symbol on it. It glowed slightly, and then his heartbeat finally stopped. Thickington was awaiting response from the guards when he was knocked off his feet by a strange explosion to his side, emanating some sort of purple energy. Perry was nowhere to be seen, as Thickington lay on the ground bleeding from his head. The 2 guards had been taken out by the explosion too, but Sahir was okay, considering he was standing back. He lifted Thickington up, and as he rebalanced himself, he saw his son. Where the explosion had been, a hole in the wall had been ripped, revealing what looked like a hidden cell. There Marty was. Sahir carried him in, so he could finally reunite with him. Despite his blurred vision, he sure was happy, and he was sure it was him. Sahir stood back as he watched Thickington embrace the apparition he had conjured. His son was never on the ship. Sahir had hoped it wouldn't end this way, but considering his actual employer, it was almost inevitable. He picked up Perry's book and put it back in his pocket, ashamed of using his journal against him, but he wouldn't forget the sacrifice. He began hurriedly walking the path he was taking the crew down, as the destroyed wall behind him began to close itself, encasing Thickington within it, suffocating him. It couldn't have been much worse than what the boss would have done with him had he got him. He continued until making it to the cell he was looking for. Releasing this prisoner would net his father back, so he hoped, so he was told. But what other troubles would arise from it, he tried not to think about. Using his sorcery, he melted the lock on the door as it slowly opened. And to no surprise, sitting in the center of the cell was... And that will be decided by these.
What do you mean?
My next story will be following this on with the character. This is the character in the cell when I pick him.
We're not picking characters, though.
Not for the next one?
I thought that was what we were doing.
No, so we're picking characters, but not picking a... Well, I'm going to pick a character for it.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Yeah. You don't have to, but my whole thing here was leading up. I'm like, I want to force myself in a really rough position and pick like friendly neighborhood fella or something. One of my worst, most rushed stories. I think there's cool ideas in it. It's just not in case it's not wrapped up very well.
Is that a throwback to the episode 1?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's happening next week? It's going to be an Infinity War of sorts with this character working for the Rubik's Cube Man, and they're going to be taking over the world. It's going to be crazy.
You spoiled the whole next story.
Hey, man. I'm so I'm so ashamed of just how this ended and how.
Well, could you not think of an ending, or were you like?
No. I think there's pieces there that's kind of a cooler story. I just didn't tell it very well. You know what I mean? I didn't write it too well. I could hear myself repeating words, and as I was reading it, I was actually changing words in my head because I was just saying the same thing over and over. Yeah.
I mean, that's just a sign of like, well, I guess what I was going to say, like next episode is going to be episode 10 of this podcast, and it's going to be the last one for, well, I guess indefinitely. We're not too sure.
Yeah.
Because it's been an interesting experiment. But there's certainly a level of, I've just noticed like a not a lag, but a sort of just like a lesser attempt on my half anyway. Just each week, I definitely still care about it, but I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I'd rather be writing other things that are outside of this podcast.
There's a bit of a fatigue.
A little bit.
And
yeah.
I will say, like, in saying that, sometimes, like, I know I had a really good time writing my car story, and I put more effort into that. And like I said, I had cool ideas for this one, but I wasn't pushed enough personally to be like, I'm going to really fix this up. Yeah,
no, for sure.
Yeah.
Which is like why, like the actual doing the podcast, like coming here and recording is fun. But yeah, the actual... The pre-work is sometimes can like be fatiguing, especially with everything else going on. So
100%.
Yeah, so we're gonna take probably the summer off, maybe not the whole summer. We'll see how we go, but we're
bit of a hiatus.
We're planning to come back with a different form of podcast next year, something a bit different. And yeah, I guess we won't really say anything on it because we actually really haven't planned it out.
Haven't locked things in. Haven't gotten a lot of confirmations yet, but like
you
know, it'll be a bit different. Probably better listening.
Probably better. In my head, it's definitely going to be better listening.
Yeah, like, because stories are fun, but I understand why a lot of people we know haven't listened to this because, you know, I think this is... A lot of podcasts are sort of passive listening, whereas we're asking for a bit more active listening.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, that's just part of it.
But, like, it's been like a fun experiment, like I said. Just, like...
No, it has been really
fun.
It's
like, oh, here's an idea for something. Let's try it out. And it's like... Yeah, maybe this could work in some other way. It would need to be done differently. But I think for just trying it out, it wasn't a bad idea.
No, yeah, it's been good fun.
Yeah.
Excellent. I don't have a name for this story, I realized.
Yeah, I called mine something, but it's lame. So you can just call it whatever on the YouTube.
This is
thing.
lame as well. You know what? I think my issue with this, because I had the idea for the Infinity War, I was really locking myself into trying to set something up. I put less effort in this because I want to put more effort into the final one.
Yeah, true.
You know? And it's okay if, like, that's not me saying you have to put more effort into your final one as well. Whatever. Like, it's, yeah. Because I imagine it's going to be a convoluted mess, mine. I really want to try and bring back everything. I think that's what I've been wanting to do from the start of the show. So the fact that we're having 10 episodes means I can do it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, a little insight into what our next podcast might be. Scooby Doo. Is that funny?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a dog, and he's like, Shaggy's like, Scooby, we need to solve this mystery. He's like,
Shaggle?
how much you paying me, Shaggy?
Oh,
shit like that.
he went there pretty quickly. All right, so yeah, Scooby-Doo. What about Shaggle? Because he likes bagels. Shaggy. Bagels.
Okay.
Glicks.
Freddy.
What's his last name? Freddie Prinze Jr.
Who's that?
That's the guy that plays Fred in the Scooby-Doo movie.
Freddy can be like...
They don't have last names. No, Shaggy does. Shaggy Rogers. So Shaggy Rogers.
How the fuck do you know that?
Dude, get your fucking Scooby-Doo lore up, motherfucker.
What's the other chick's name?
Daphne.
Well, yeah, we'll work on Scooby-Doo. We'll work on that.
Let's think of something else funny while we're in here. Wait, fuck. How much time? 3 minutes. Less than 1 minute. Should we think of more funny things or should we end it there?
No, but we gotta do the thing for if you want to draw.
Yep. Do you want to? Yeah. Can you grab the big one? Oh fuck it! I don't want a setting. I'm just gonna have a character.
Yeah, it's a good character.
Yeah. Okay. Real quick. Fucking A. Bam, 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 bam. Please be evil. Please be evil.
Episode, so stay tuned for episode 10. It's gonna be terrible.
Yes. An arrogant war criminal. Too easy.
That's not bad.
Oh, what'd you get?
I got poor librarian, which
If you don't want to use it, don't use it. Like, because yeah, like you said, we didn't have to pick these ones.
yeah, I might use it, but I might just write my own story and fuck it all off. So who cares? Eat my ass.
Alrighty. We love this new energy.
Yeah, we'll go out on a funny bit before the camera turns off. Out of the closet rapper Lil Nas X has stated his lifelong love of chocolate by partnering with Cadbury to produce the new penis M&M.
You wrote that?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Thanks.
It's funny. You didn't like my SeaWorld cunt joke.
SeaWorld cunt joke.
Remember that one?
No.
They rebranded SeaWorld C-word.
Okay, here's another joke. This might cut off before the recording, so...
Go.
Stephen Poo Pie Jones, the man wanted in relation to the selling of pies containing human feces. And that's the episode ends.
Do you want to save the punchline for the next episode?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I might not tell the next episode. We'll see.
That's funny.
Okay.
Well done.